Dan here, TV Speed Shop, 55 Chevy Nomad. Everyone needs one. Just go to the bank, sign away everything, and finance your life away for a cool car that you really don't need. Anyway, where we left this thing, we had just taken it for a test drive, and then I think I fixed it. I don't know. And anyways, we're back in the garage. We have a bunch of things to take care of today, but should be pretty simple. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of boring little stuff, but it is kind of interesting because it's making a hot rod 100% finished. I think a lot of people, myself included, 100% myself included, you get to that 70, 80, 90% of the way done and you're just like, poof, let's drive this thing. And then those little things never ever get sorted. And that's what we're working on now, is that final sorting of the car, which I learned last year on Power Tour, that 57 Chevy we took. I went through it 2 or 3 times and we didn't have any issues. And honestly, I've been driving the wheels off that car with, I did an oil change to it. And it's been fantastic having all these little things work. So that's what we're gonna do today. We have some wipers. I bought a cheap knockoff kit off of eBay. I don't know. It's Rain Gear is like the fancy one, and this was like half the price. So we'll see if it's any good or not. I don't even know if the wiper stuff is in this car. We'll figure that out as well. So be it. We have to clean up all the wiring from the fuel injection fiasco. So I'll be doing a bunch of that. Well, I think where we're going to start off first is the alignment. So this car here, the wheels are not the way they should be. Now I put big springs in this, so what actually happened is obviously to raise the front end and give the gasser a look. That's the look I like. So I brought the front end up, so we're essentially on the bump stops. So what that has done is obviously a wheel, when it's, you know, flat, or at ride height, sorry, it's like this. Well, as it goes through the suspension, it's in an arc, as you guys all know. Well, since we're in the utmost position, we have a situation like this. So we have to adjust the camber, which is a very simple setup on these old hot rods. Put a light in here, hopefully you can see. So that's the upper control arm. That's where it bolts to the frame. Right here are your adjustments. So we have to unbolt this and put some shims between the control arm shaft and the frame itself. That will bring the control arm in, which in turn will bring the top of the tire in, which will then figure everything out. Once we get that under control, we have to give it a kind of eyeball toe. So with the way it's steering, give it a little bit of toe in or something like that. And kind of carry on. Should be okay, then I can take it to the shop and put a proper alignment on it once we're in the ballpark. Right now, you can see just by the way the tread's going, it's pulling in. So it's not happy when you're driving down the road. It's howling and squealing and all sorts of stuff. I also have to get the fan working. You do always want to have a little defrost so it can clear the windshield, in the mornings or wherever it may be, or if it's raining, clear the glass. And I will say, last year on Power Tour, I know a lot of guys maybe don't believe in all these things, but I spent a bunch of time before we left to make sure the heater and all that was working on that 57 Chevy and the wipers were working. I put a pile of work, that's why I bought this piece. I took a rear wiper out of like a, I don't know, Blazer or something like that, and modified it to work on the car. It was like 2 days of work and a lot of screwing around. So I'm hoping this one was bolt in. So I think it was $200. The other one was like 29, but what's your time worth? But we did get caught in a ridiculous rainstorm all of a sudden where we needed not only wipers, but the car was fogging up. So I had the defrost on. So it was handy. It was nice to have that. Otherwise you have to pull over and wait and screw around or do whatever you gotta do. So finish these damn cars. Don't be like DD Speed Shop and actually finish them. So I think I'm gonna get set up. We'll unbox this wiper setup and we'll see exactly what it is. I actually have an old one here we can kind of compare it to. Hopefully there's enough room with the Teleram. And it should be a pretty simple setup. I am missing a few parts, but we'll see if it works. I wouldn't say things are going well.
Have you started every video like that?
That's how she's going. So now I knew the one arm was bust and it was seized, so it wasn't moving. So it's obviously screwed. Now these Tri-5s, I love these things, but they have some very dumb ideas. So the way this system works, I actually happen to have a replacement in stock, This sits in the firewall, and it has these little nubs on it. This is where the motor goes back and forth. So what you do is you wrap this around, which is a ridiculous system. And then you wrap the other side of the cable on the other side, and then as it goes, it just pulls one way then the other. Wonder why they went to mechanical arms, eh? So anyways, we have this. Now, I got it all apart. This is stuff I had kicking around.
Isn't that mechanical?
The cable driven is a little, they all have like arms, like a mechanical arm versus a mechanical, like, like a pulley system.
I see.
Obviously, these are probably original from 55, so they didn't want to come out easily, so I fought for a while to get them out. I bought, this stuff came in a box. A guy a while ago had 55, 56 are the same, 57 is different. I have a bunch of 57 stuff, but they will not fit. And I don't know, box of miscellaneous, well, it was actually a truckload for 150 bucks, so I just bought everything. And these happened to be in there, which was nice. But they must be like brand new, never used or something, because this one has a really long cable on it. So I'll have to terminate the ends, and they have to be the right length for everything to work. But I think that's what we're gonna get after now, is starting to maybe put this all together. What a freaking nightmare. And they are left and right, unfortunately. So this one's actually not bad. This is this came out of the car. It's a little stiff, but we can clean that up. And it has the ends, but of course the one that's not terminated is a left. And they do say R and L on them. I assume it's just how the cable maybe comes out. I'll have to do a little looking around and make sure. Because if we can use just two of the good ones, then we're set. But otherwise, we'll have to run to the hardware store and buy like a little crimp end, and then measure 18 times and cut once. Then when it's screwed up, it'll be a problem and I'll cry. So I believe it's too short, it won't be able to hook up, and if it's too long, it'll probably lose its tension. But, I mean, really, pull it tight, mark it, cut it, be done with it. So we'll get after that, and then start. I'd show you more, but you're under the dash. It's a friggin' nightmare. I'd take a radio out, I'd take a speaker out. There's rat crap in there still. It's unbelievable. But it's just one more piece of the car we're touching, right? Say I did it. All right, I'm gonna keep working on this. Be back in a bit. Mer stopped by, saved my bacon as per usual. It was a real two-man operation. But got everything together. It's awful. This is awful. Have I mentioned it's awful? So that's the drum. Those are our driver's side cables and our passenger side cables. The passenger side cables have to crisscross, and it's a nightmare. So you gotta get that tight, and then everything else loose, and kind of tighten it up to get tension. Now the reason the passenger side is crisscross is because wipers on a Tri-5 park down here and then go up and then back down, so it has to be opposite. The motor here, Murray, you want to hold the camera? Keep me in the viewfinder if you don't mind.
No, I'll try.
So what this basically is somebody has taken a rear motor off, or a boat motor, just like the 90-degree sweep, and put the Chevy bracket on, which works great. And it's got a very simple setup, so we'll just rest that on the header real quick. You got 12 volts to it, and then it's got a switch. We'll just ground it, and then you can, so it's got high speed, low speed, and then one of these is park. So that's it, that's all. So if you had, all that stuff was mint on your car, and you had factory vacuum wipers, which I think I have one somewhere around here, yeah. This is off Danny's car, this actually works. So the factory ones, terrible, again, Tri-5 Chevy. So the same piece would fit on with these two screws, and it goes back and forth. And it's a mechanical cable on the dash. You twist it, and right here, all this is a little valve. Opens and closes, and that goes to a vacuum source, and it's just got like a rubber boot, or it's probably leather in there. It's terrible. So we're replacing it with this for, I think it was $250 American. Newport Engineering. I had this sitting around for a while. So if this works out as good as I'm hoping, which should go in there. It's a little wider than factory, but it fits in there with tunnel ram and all that. Definitely, it's coming off if you want to do anything with the distributor or doing plug wires. but we'll put it on. It literally needs 12 volts and a switch and a ground, and it should work. Famous last words. Oh, give me this back. But I had to take all the trim off, screw around and fight and get these off the old pedestals. I had the radio out, the speaker out, the cluster out. Wipers on these things are terrible. I've actually heard that about air conditioning. These are one of the worst cars to put like a vintage air in, because there's just no friggin' room under there, and I believe it. But I'm not gonna put any of that shit back. I'm just gonna snip it all out. Well, what an absolute fiasco. Speaker out, radio out, cluster out, nightmare, had to change the pedestals, all that, all new wiring, or all cabling. This really ended up being a way bigger job than I had first anticipated. I thought it'd be 2 screws and a few wires, but what are you gonna do? Under the hood was also a nightmare to get the pump in, or the motor, I should say. I had to take off this rear throttle body and screw around there, and there's a little hole you gotta just absolutely dodge and get a screw in, but it's in there. I've got just kind of rigged up, but it's pretty simple. So this will just be like probably replace the factory switch, I guess, but low and high, nice and quiet. And then even if you so you click it on and off, it'll still go back and park itself. So, not a bad little setup. I'm gonna put the throttle body back on, take the rag out of the intake. I didn't want to drop a screw in there, so you managed to get past that. There's a lot of stuff that has to go back together. I think I'm spent for the night. I think tomorrow we'll get the wire run into the cab. We'll have that. The only thing I'm going to do is read a bunch of comments on this throttle body setup. I think what I'm going to do is use some of these wires that I was using to power it and use them as trigger wires, because we have this fuse block over here, so I'll be a little screwing around, but I can run a relay. That's what got set, a couple of relays, and then run a switch 12 from the relay right across to the unit and maybe to the distributor, so it'll have like absolutely clean power, not coming from nothing other than battery, fuse block, relay in. Probably a little overkill, but it sure would make things a lot easier when everything is isolated. So I'll get on that tomorrow. I don't know if I'll film any of that. I might just kind of get it all done, because wiring is boring and watching someone wire is even more boring than that. But get that taken care of, then all we really have left is a heater or a fan. Oh, and an alignment. We gotta do the alignment on this thing. It's supposed to rain tomorrow. We'll do it tomorrow. Well, I think it's maybe the next day or the day after. It's been not good. I have not been a happy camper. Luckily, Danielle puts up with anything. She's very low standards, much like you guys watching. I got a pile of stuff here. Just point through that way. I'll hop in the driver's seat. So we put the whole dash back together. I think it'll stay together this time. Anyway, key on. Wipers. We got 2 speeds and then auto park, so you just click them on and off for like an intermittent. Pretty minty. I put a heater switch in, that does rattle. Well, not bad. But we have up there, so it'll clear the windshield if we need. And actually, those are things I know a lot of people are like, no, you don't need that in hot rod, Rain-X and stuff. Last year we got caught with bad directions from somebody behind the camera. And it started pouring rain, and the car was fogging up and everything. And right before we left, I had made, well, it always had heat because I drive it in the wintertime, but I put the wipers on. I never had proper wipers. And that was pretty key, so I did that. Horn works. I think that's pretty much everything here. I'd like to put the radio back in, but it's big, heavy, and ugly. But we'll see. We'll see what we got to do there. This might be where the iPad goes. Or movies on the road. I put the Bel Air thing in. There's no speaker behind it. Yeah, let's go under the hood. So here's where I think I had issues with the car running. Now, I described it in that last video. And I mean, since I don't understand the technology, people call it RF signals or EMPs or I don't know what. But At the end of the day, it's not a points distributor. So what I did, I've changed all the wiring around, hopefully for the last time, but we'll see. Oh, it smells like gas. I just hooked this up. Oh, let's try. Just talking to myself there. Now, I think what happened was the wires to the Holley were too close to some sort of interference with the distributor or some kind of high charge or high power wires, which were kind of causing that little thing to, like the little computer screen or the computer in the sniper to reset. So I think I kind of explained that in the last video or two. Anyway, I believe the computer is in here. So Ford guys, or the front of this thing, this is just the secondary one, but the Ford guys freak out because you have your distributor right there, so right there that they have had issues. So what I did was I rewired everything. I ran the exciter wire off the side, probably a little overkill, but I did that. At the back here, where I had all the power that was going to go to the distributor and the Holley and everything, I've eliminated it from this side. So all we have on this side is the coil wire, the coil power, and whatnot. The outputs and all the Holley stuff is tucked under the tunnel ram, so you can't really see that. And on this side, I moved a lot of stuff. So previously, the fuel pump relay and the power of the Holley was actually over there. So the wires had to go around the sniper, which probably wasn't, or the coil, which wasn't the end of the world. But right here, this wire is the one that I think was the real issue. So this wires would give switch 12 volts to the whole mess. And I think this was absolutely running by the coil and all that. And I think it was getting zapped or whatever it may be. So I drilled a new hole over here so it goes through the firewall on its own, and it's all good. Now, I was seeing guys on the internet, and they were doing these tests, right? And they were covering it in tin foil, and it was making it work. And I thought, this is my homage to Uncle Tony. So instead of wearing a tin foil hat, we're gonna tin foil up this wire, because I think it's gonna fix all our problems. At least I hope so. You really bought the cheap stuff, huh? You couldn't get glass?
It's expensive.
This is, copper wire is expensive.
That little box is like $4.
Scoozy. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna wrap this up. It's like a sandwich.
When have you ever wrapped up a sandwich?
Well, I usually eat them pretty quick there. So this, it might need a couple more pieces. We're gonna do that, all right? I'll get the ends, and then I'm gonna cover it in that Tech Flex. I got this stuff left over from, I'm actually almost out. Newburn and Cotton gave me a whole bunch of it at Power Tour. Hopefully I got more this year. So I'm gonna cover it in that. And the final thing I think I'm gonna do, there's a bunch of wiring that's gonna be behind the battery, which is fine, and I'll tuck behind it. The main charge wire, Danny is yawning behind the camera, and this is exhilarating information. This is what's gonna, you remember this, we're on the side of the road.
I'm very bored.
Please like and subscribe. Anyway, so this main charge wire, which just in case this somehow, I don't want this anywhere near that wire, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna loop it through the tunnel ram, which again, there's nothing at the front, all the stuff is at the back. I think I'm gonna loop it under here, we're gonna go right to the starter. So, I mean, a lot of cars had that, where the alternate run to the starter, which is essentially right to the battery, so it's all fine. And it frees up a little bit of space up here, and we should be fine. Over here we have, I didn't change any of this, this is where the relay for the fans, and I think I'm gonna put a set of big honking like floodlights or something like that, set of big honkers right here. We've been doing a lot of Facebook stuff lately, and there's a lot of new people watching it, and they are impressed with parts of Danielle. So anyways, we're gonna do that, so I'll have the power up there. It's very simple, and just gotta run one switched wire off a toggle or something like that. So even though it looks pretty much the same, it's very different, and it's a lot of hours later, but I'm gonna finish kind of tidying this up. Then I think we're gonna bolt on a hood scoop. We gotta get the alignment taken care of, and reverse lights. And I think that is everything checked off the list. And we can get our fine government stamp saying we can drive this thing.
If it stops raining.
If it stops raining, the weather is terrible. We'd like to do another test drive maybe and just make sure everything is all good there with the Holley stuff. But again, I did put some miles on it after I just kind of zip tied everything away, but now it's more permanent. I know where everything is, and it's in quadrants. You know, it's like organized. I'll see you a little bit later tonight or tomorrow. We'll see how the rest of the wiring goes.
What are you doing?
So we're just finishing off the wiring real quick. Okay, so I'm just gonna roll the car forward and back. Hopefully I can touch in nothing. Just to get the steering wheel and all centered. Then we can start messing with the toe and all that, because I had the back end all goofy. So we'll see. I guess we'll see if it starts. It's always nice to get it in a bazillion pieces. Wiring everywhere. Fuel pump kick on. Neutral. A little touchy. Man, if that's straight, this wheel is completely turned in. That's craziness. Nothing but rain out here. Anyways, so this tire, she's pretty straight. And this one, she's definitely turned in. So I think what we're gonna do, we're just gonna bring that one out a little bit, kind of see, you know, there's a bazillion different ways to do alignments, and well, I guess there's only a couple of ways to do them. But what I want to do is, I like just kind of driving, see how it feels. I've had it before where the guy's like, it's all green on the chart, and it just doesn't feel right. So we're gonna play with the toe a little bit. It's clear on the tread pattern that we're toed in, so the front of the wheels are trying to touch. So we'll go ahead and pull that back out, and then really I'll drive around the block, not tonight, but I'll probably do it on my own. And we'll kind of get a bit of a ligament in it, so it can kind of be driven around. I'm just going to put a little bit in that, but I think while the hood's down, I want to put that hood scoop on, or I don't even know, oh, it's on the wall. So I think what we're going to do, we'll just end up running these. So it'll be nice and short, the hood scoop will go over it, and then we're good. So I'll probably, yeah, whatever. Put some rags on it just so I'm not getting any shavings in there. We'll put that on and call her a day. What I'm gonna do is I have some, I forget what they're called. They're like little squeeze deals, and you can put some bolts in it, so that's what we're gonna do. Drill some holes in the scoop, drill some holes in this, nut certs maybe, and then we can bolt the hood scoop on if we have to, and go from there. Obviously, as we're driving down, you know, highway miles and all that, this is all we're really gonna need. Some people are saying you need taller air filters and all that. I get it. It is what it is. For maximum horsepower, there's all sorts of things you should be doing. But we're just trying to cruise and look good while we do it. Okay, so I had the scoop pretty much centered up. You know, I drilled 6 holes in it. I then transferred those over to the hood. We have the air filters on with rags covering everything, because you don't want to get shavings in the motor, or as few shavings as possible. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use these little nut cert deals. So we're going to drill a hole where I have them marked. This will fit in like a little plug. You then thread in, this is a bolt, but basically it's like a rivet. So you're gonna thread it in like this with the actual tool, pull it up, it'll just compress this, it'll squeeze between the, it'll make a fold to the hood, and then these will stay in there. It'll look a little goofy, but what are you gonna do? I think it's the best way. Also, we're using 1/4" fasteners because that's what I have. It has way smaller stuff available, but we're not gonna do that. So let's drill a hole. You want to make sure you don't drill a hole too big. So it'll fit in there. Perfect. Just that easy. So I'll just show you how to do the first one, then we'll do the rest fast motion, even though I know you're far away. It's just kind of the way it's going to go. So we're going to thread it in, and then as you see, you can squeeze it here. So clearly, when you have it in, and you do that, the centerpiece is what's going to give up. So let's just jam this in here, see what we got going on. Hopefully this works. That hood is flimsy. This top piece just lets you kind of screw it in, so I like to kind of walk it in a little. It should be okay there. Then you just unthread it. Slowly, slowly. There's maybe a little grease on it or something. And that's what we're left with, this little kind of flush-ish mount stud, which then a bolt can go into. So just that easy. We'll do it 6 more times, or 5 more times I should say. We'll be all set. Are you ready for it? I got the air filters on, studs in, everything closed, everything fits. I think it looks pretty freaking good. Let me get further away from it. Lose a bunch of light at the same time. Well, I dig it. Obviously, if it's a hood scoop, you know I love it. What's it gonna look like inside? Oh yeah, that's pretty mellow. Catch early for tonight. Tomorrow, I'm gonna go to work. I'm gonna see if I can book the inspection for the day after maybe. And then all we got left is I gotta put a speedo cable in it, backup lights, battery tie down, give everything a once over clean up, and we should be good to go. So wish me luck. Well, I'll see you tomorrow. Wish me luck after tomorrow. And then, I did a little bit of alignment. We'll take it for a test drive tomorrow. Hopefully the rain holds out. And we should be set. This thing is like really coming along. So it's yet another new day. It was a mad thrash to get this thing done because I thought it was going in for inspection tomorrow, but my plans got crushed, but whatever, away she goes. Now I can't find the wrench I was looking for. Anyway, we got everything pretty much done again, I guess. I don't know where we left it last night, but everything's been gone through 15 times over. I put a battery hold down on. Oh, actually today the Holley guy called me. So I guess he watched the video, which is handy, and he just talked me through the sniper stuff. And you know what, unfortunately, he called me today, but the video obviously came out. We're a little ahead in real life from the video. But he was cool. He's like, you know what, this is what happens, blah, 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 blah. He actually kind of appreciated the video because I talked my way through it. And it turns out a lot of us are the same level of idiot where we screw things up. So he basically said I was kind of on the right path anyways. So we're going to go on our first real test drive tonight, hopefully. I did add a few extra grounds. I read all the comments. You guys had a lot of them. And some of them seemed overkill, but you know what? It is what it is. So obviously grounds, power, very finicky. I ended up regrounding the throttle bodies. I daisy chained those together and then ran that right to the battery, just so it's 100% grounded, even though it already has a ground. Actually, the Holley guy recommended you ground the hood, which I thought was a little funny because I thought it would have been grounded through everything, but maybe not, or maybe the body or something like that. So I did ground the hood. That's going directly to the battery. So we got a few grounds here. I'm gonna have to do something different than this. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's what we got for now. Everything is run nicely, neatly. We got the battery hooked up. Oh, I was underneath the car. That's what I did a bunch of. We have reverse lights. I just want to make sure the lights work here, babe. So we should have reverse lights when we put it in reverse.
Yeah.
Nice. And then I got speedo cable in and door handles, like little things like that. I think that's pretty much it. So we'll do a quick light check. I'll tighten up the battery real quick and we'll go on a test drive that hopefully is successful. is I keep disconnecting the battery. I still have the fear of it catching fire. And I don't really want to deal with that. So I disconnect it, which is definitely not good for the computer because it forgets everything every time. Actually, I don't even think I reprogrammed it, which I probably should have. So we'll wait until it gets up to hopefully temperature starts learning and it'll figure itself out. Hopefully. So we'll do some easy miles until it gets up to temperature.
Demographic. Family sounds much happier than.
Yeah, the speedometer's working. It's definitely happier. It has to go into learn mode though, because it definitely hasn't done that yet. So maybe we'll just let it idle until it gets under 20 degrees. So we just went into learn mode. Much happier. When we pulled over, then I put the tune back in. It always forgets, but you can't be mad at it.
It forgets it because you unplugged the battery?
Yeah. Well, I unplugged the battery, I unplugged the grounds, I unplugged fucking everything. It definitely has a bit of a... When you come off throttle, it's not super happy. Figure things out a little bit and do its thing, go through a couple of temperature cycles and get some miles on it and all that. It does seem to go kind of like, it goes real lean when you let your foot off for some reason. Gear. Yeah, there we go. It didn't have as much as a failure there. Hillbillies liked it. I got used to driving stick again. It's been a while. Feels nice though. Actually drives pretty nice. I put some like adjusted the alignment a little bit. So I gotta pay attention to what gear I'm in. I forgot about that. Stick shift. Definitely gotta do some play around at idle. It's not happy. Oh god, it just did the same thing. It died. Son of a bitch. Man, just when you think you have it figured out. Did the exact same thing again.
It's not popping and banging this time.
Yeah, but it's died for no reason. I don't really understand that.
Is that part of it trying to learn though? Like,
I
is it
don't
the
think
battery
so.
that's really the disconnecting it all the time? Is that maybe shorting it out or something?
No, it did that no data thing, which is like it had a moment, which is not great. Oh, it's all smoky under the dash there too. A quick door fiasco. So are we gonna make it home? Some exit here.
Yeah, that's just some entrance, isn't
It says no left turn.
it? No.
Throttle is definitely a little stiff. My confidence is not high. I really thought I had it fixed. Drove to MERS, no issues. Took it all apart, redid all the wiring. Maybe just had a moment. She's a little temperamental. Come on, baby. What else I can possibly do here? I don't know what the problem is. That's our main power wire. Those are all good and tight. Not much else it can really be here. Other than just plain old being unhappy. Oh, we got a brake leak. That's probably the problem there.
Holy shit. Is that ever?
Thanks, guys.
Oh, we're just admiring your beauty. We're just admiring your beauty, trying to figure out the problem. Not your wife, but the car. She's a beauty too.
She's all right. Friendly Manitoban.
At least people are nice when you break down.
Oh yeah.
Whether it's running or it's not running, people love to see this car.
People like the car, yeah. Luckily, I like see it on the side of the road, so we'll be there a lot, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I can't believe this is. We should go here. Cut a bunch of people off. Intermittent unhappiness is the frustration, because I don't know what's wrong. Ground's out the wazoo. Everything has its own power. Can't imagine what else it would need. good though.
Very good. I think it's just like anything. You have to test it and figure and test and figure and test and figure. I mean,
yeah.
it's no different than any other car. You gotta test and figure. Anyone who thinks they're not gonna test and figure are wrong.
Are you telling the internet that they're wrong?
I am. Internet, I'm telling you. You're wrong. Listen, Danielle's boyfriend.
I love Uncle Tony. I love how we fight. So now it's running good. Like, do we keep going to see if it's going to screw up again?
I mean, I do have an appointment.
You don't. It's with the internet.
Queen Glitter Chaos on Twitch. Streams almost daily.
Okay. We'll go around the block one more time.
At least, yeah, let it be closer for walking.
Yeah, yeah. Man, the throttle is touchy.
Hey, do you ever get mad when door handles break off of the car that you built and then yell at your girlfriend about it?
You feel good about that?
Yeah.
That is not good. Come on, girl. Probably should have just gone home.
I think let's go home.
Well, round two. Would we say it's better?
That one section, it was real smooth and nice.
Oh man, is that loud? Those backfires are not good.
I still think you're 2 step forward, though. I think you're 2 step forward, 1 step back. That's okay.
Car looks cool.
It looks very cool. And when it drives nice, you'll figure it out.
When it drives nice, it drives nice. Worst case, we got this fine 57 Chevy right there.
I think you're close.
I hope you're right.
I think you're very close. I have full belief in you. Plus, you're gonna feel so good when you accomplish success. If it was easy, everyone would do it.
That's very true. I might as well clean the garage up and let this thing smoke out here. Well, I'm definitely at a loss. I know a lot of guys were giving me a hard time with how I said I was going to call Holley, but I had done everything wrong, and I get it. I'd done everything wrong. But at this point now, I think I need a little advice from someone better than myself, which is a lot of people. But we got clean power to the Holley, right to the battery. We got grounds friggin' everywhere. It seems to do okay when it's cold-ish. And then once it gets hot a little bit, it's just not happy. Then it just kind of comes and goes. And I don't know. I don't know if that's a tune thing. If it's I'm still missing something. I can't imagine what. I definitely think I should get Murr over here for a little bit of advice. But all in all, the car is done. This is such a melodramatic finishing of the car. Usually it's done. You're like, let's put miles on it. So there's not much anything else I think I actually have to physically do to it. Mechanically, I think it's all 100%. I can change the radiator and all those sort of things, but realistically, that's it. So we got to figure out this tuning thing. So I guess stay tuned for that. I'll be making calls and all on my own, I guess. I think we're gonna take a break from this, go back to the Chevy 2 because it's not fighting as hard right now. Clean this junker of a shop up and go from there. So I gotta say, I thought I had it figured out. I was gonna be like, I'm a genius, internet, but
You're close.
close to being a genius. So if you guys somehow still think I've missed something, let me know. But it said grounds are good, switched is good, it's right, clean power, opposite side of anything that's kind of noisy. It's not touching anything, it goes right through the firewall on its own. All the sensors are hooked up, everything there is good. Some people said the O2 sensor screw up in these things, and maybe the way I was running it could have blown it out. I guess that's possible. I actually did order a new one, but I can't imagine that would cause it to shut off. I think it would just run rich. It would go into like a, you know, a closed loop type deal. So yeah, when it runs good, it runs so good. That's the frustrating part.
You gotta chase that high.
I gotta chase the high. It is like a drug. All right, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on the next video. And at all costs, we're gonna prove Uncle Tony wrong. I don't care how much my visa has to go through. We're gonna win this one.
You're gonna prove Uncle Tony wrong, or you're not Danielle's boyfriend.
Yeah. All right, see you later.
Do like a dramatic slow.
Oh, we should look at the hood though. It looks good. I dig the hood scoop. It's a cool car. It does look cool inside the road.
Those guys loved it.
Yeah. People are gonna want to stop and help us on Power Tour. So that's what you gotta do. Spend 30 grand and someone will want to stop and help you when you're broke down. Well, you just know I couldn't give up. So I've been running laps for, well, it's getting dark out, so it's probably been an hour maybe. Just trying to fine tune this thing. And I think I'm making progress. I know I kind of ended the video, but I'm just gonna leave with this. I talked to my Holley guy, Scott. I love you if you're watching, buddy. I'm gonna call him tomorrow. We got a call set up. Just kind of go over everything again. But what I did, and this may be something clean power. Originally, I had this, remember this red wire that we played with and had covered in tin foil and all that? I was running that to the ignition switch. Well, this is the factory original ignition switch from 1955 in this car, which was left in the bush with no windshield in it, and who knows what happened to it. So I thought maybe it's just kind of, you know, be fine for a regular old points distributor, HEI or whatever, but it's just losing that little bit of signal. So I put it on its own toggle. So now this, and realistically, this is probably not a bad idea to do anyways from a security standpoint. I had ordered an O2, so this is the old O2. It didn't blow out, probably too hard to see. It didn't blow out or nothing like that. It's definitely rich. But, so that's what I did, and I gotta say it's running better. It hasn't, I did this originally, and it didn't lose any of this stuff, but it popped and banged, and the O2 was reading kind of funny. I changed it, and it seems like it's getting better. So we'll see if this will start. It's much happier, and you should see. Now, I mean, it's running and doing its thing. Used to really jump it, yeah, the AFR when you put the clutch in. It seems like it's doing better. So we're gonna try and hit the main road. And see if it pops and bangs under a little bit of acceleration. Unfortunately, I need to drive this thing. But it's definitely a lot happier, and I think maybe now it's learning, and it's actually learning. Maybe that O2 was unhappy, wasn't getting the clean power. I don't know. Anyways, I'm gonna try and make it home, and I'll give you a status update. I'm confident. Well, made it back home. So, it did really well. We probably went for half an hour or so after I was last on the camera. It's definitely quite a bit darker out. The car did good. It ran much better. It didn't have any of that no data thing. So obviously that 50, 65-year-old switch is no bueno. And, you know, shame on me. I guess maybe I should have checked a little further. You know, that was right from the ignition switch. That's how Tri-5 Chevys are. They run a lot of stuff off the switch. So didn't get any cleaner than that in my mind, because the main power goes from the battery to the key, from the key to the block. So it's pulling right off there. But obviously it's just not quite good. So having that toggle on made a big difference. The O2 definitely runs richer now. Now maybe it's learning, it's figuring things out, whether or not the O2 need to be changed or not. We kind of shotgun two things at once there, shotgun approach. But you can hear it now. It's kind of gurgly out the exhaust. Glass packs, that kind of, you know, low RPM, and then you kind of take your foot off the gas and it kind of gurgles down. It kind of click, 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 you know, the burble tune, as the cool guys call it. I hate it. We need different mufflers on this thing. I got to go buy a set and change it up. Whether I do that tomorrow or not, I don't know. So we're definitely stepping in the right direction. I mean, this is unfortunately just the way it's going to go. I think it's much, much better. I'm much happier with it. Didn't have any real issues. The only issue it had was a couple times I put the clutch in early on. If you're like 3,500 RPM, put the clutch in. The AFR would read like 18 or 19 to 1, which is a little high, but that's also, you know, going from RPM, letting it drop down, clutch in, throttle blades closed. Maybe that's the nature of the beast. I'm going to Google that. I don't know a whole lot about this stuff. The only thing I've ever done has been that Terminator kit on LS, but automatic, so you don't really have that immediate drop. I guess I could test it and, you know, go from like drive right to neutral or something like that, but I typically don't do that, or if I am, it's because you're revving it. It's definitely not super happy below 2,000 RPM, but that's obviously the motor, nothing to do with the EFI or any other bits. So it wants to be above that. The problem is it's got these mufflers on it, they're so freaking loud that by 3,000 RPM it's making all the racket. So I think if I put a quieter set of mufflers on, I can actually test a little more, drive a little more, and kind of go from there. I got a call in with the Holley guy tomorrow. I don't know if I said that or not. Tomorrow afternoon, so we'll talk through a few things. But I'm whittling away at it, and this is hot rodding. Hey, there's lots of guys that can spend weeks and trying to figure out a carburetor, right? So this is just a little different, same but different. We're gonna carry on. So that's where I'm gonna leave it now. I think I'm gonna edit this video and put it out there, unless I see any more with the Holley guy. But I'm pretty sure every day it's getting a little better, a little better, a little better. I'm pretty excited to start driving this thing. The next video, we're probably going to be getting on other things. This will be on a little back burner now. It is done. Bit of a melodramatic way to end this project. But I think I have it 80% figured out. I'm going to put a set of plugs in it. Just, you know, it's been running so bad for so long now. A fresh set of plugs can't hurt. So tomorrow, you know, new plugs, same tune, maybe a little advice from Holley, and we'll go from there. Maybe I'll put some mufflers on just so it's a little quieter. We'll figure it out. We'll go from there. Thank you so much for watching and being along for the ride here and suffering along with me. I really do appreciate that. And if there's any question about it, I love Uncle Tony, and so is Danny. As Danny's boyfriend, you know, him and Kathy are just absolutely great. So I should say that. Thank you very much for watching. Comment below. And I think we're going to take a break, work on the Chevy 2 for a little bit while we get this thing inspected, and we'll go from there.